Here's 7 times the military almost us by accident, and the enemy wasn't always my biggest concern, even while deployed. The Great Leatherneck Fire, otherwise known as the SMOO Fire on Camp Leatherneck in 2010. When we first landed in Afghanistan, I think it was day 4, I went to the chow hall with my buddies, Mitchell and Tamashiro. We're at the chow hall, we're eating food, we heard a boom. We didn't think anything of it. But when we left the chow hall, as to quote my buddy in a video I have, the whole goddamn Camp Leatherneck's on fire. Like,
whole goddamn Leatherneck's on fire. So, all right, that's one thing bad.
There's explosions, there's chaos, there's oxygen tanks, acetylene tanks burst into flames at some point. Like, it was not good. The fire was chasing towards the fuel farm. Me and a buddy tried to hop a berm and a Jersey barrier and get a dump truck and try to help. And of course, we were told to go ourselves and not help. But that fire was dangerous. And it ended up with like the whole base having their water shut off and all kinds of stuff. And of course, in the middle of that night, same night we're fighting all the fires, was the first sandstorm we saw. So I have this dope image of like the base on fire with a wall of sand moving towards it. If that thing had hit the fuel farm, it could have been really bad. And we could have gotten overrun by talc. Like, it could have been a whole mess. Sometimes the direct orders. There was a mission where we headed south on Route Elephant in Marja in 2010. We go to a fob to drop something off, or I think we were escorting civilian dump trucks down. We drop them off, we're coming back up, and on the way down, we'd gotten SAF, small arms fire. Nothing crazy, you pull the gunner in the turret and shut the turret, and you just kind of push and roll on your way. There's a canal on either side of this road, so there's like not much you can do. And on the way back, we're coming back up north, and there's this truck, like a pickup truck, like an old Ranger, like Ford Ranger or something, just on fire in the road. Which again, canal on either side, but there's like one road coming in and it was like right there. And it literally looked like somebody had driven it out into the road and lit it on fire. And then of course, we have to slow down. This is what's called very stereotypically a blocked ambush, right? Meaning like there's a block and now there's gunfire. So we're getting SAF, we're getting shot at, we're getting peppered. And my OIC is like, we're gonna wait for QRF to come deal with the fire. And I'm like, I'm lead Vic. I'm like, I have a mine roller. Like, I can tilt the mine roller and push this thing into the canal and move on. Like, it's on fire. What does it matter? It's desert and canals. Like, it's either going to land in sand or water. There's some grass, but it's not dry enough to matter. And it's surrounded by sand and water. So let me just push this damn thing out and let's keep rolling. And I get told to basically just shut up and color and sit still. So my security team leader's like, go, and I'm like, Roger, Vic 1 Oscar Mike, and then I get told to halt, and it's like back and forth. And I will keep what happened next very vague, but ultimately we won and we ended up pushing through it. But that could have been really bad, like sitting there in a blocked ambush dealing with SAF. Like, one RPG could have turned that into a really ugly day, and if we'd sat there long enough, I guarantee it would have happened. It was all the vehicle maintenance issues. Just breaks down. Like, Afghanistan is not gentle on your vehicles, and so they break down, they die. One of the common things was just something as simple as like, you'd think it was the air filters getting filled with dirt that would mess things up. I mean, that does happen. You have to clean out the air filters every now and then, like every week, but and really probably every convoy. But the fuel water separators on the MRAPs that we drove, there was an O-ring issue and they would mess up. I mean, it was probably like every third convoy that we had to freaking with the O-ring or replace the O-ring or whatever and drain the fuel water separator and go again to be able to keep rolling. But maintenance issues stall you, leave you in the desert all the time. We had axles fall off trailers that we had to chain up. We had all kinds of stuff break. Of course, there's always the IEDs. I don't know that was by accident, but those happen all the time. That messes up your convoys. Sleep-deprived drivers. I've got this memory of a convoy where I'm basically like, I'm asleep. We must have been like 30 hours into this convoy. And like everything had broken or blown up. We were at the point where we didn't have another wrecker, so we had to stop in the desert because our wrecker was towing our vehicle. Another vehicle was towing a vehicle. I think we'd hit an IED and had a breakdown. And we were at the point where we had something else to either break down or blow up. And we couldn't do anything because we couldn't leave it. And we didn't have anything else that could tow. And so we had to wait for another wrecker to come back to tow this thing. And so it's middle of the night. I don't know, probably 10, 11 at night. It's pitch black, middle of the desert. You can't see. We're in lights to blackout mode. So you're blacked out. You're on MVGs, right? Or thermals, whatever. And we just had to call QRF. We had to wait for this convoy to come out. So this little tiny convoy with a wrecker was coming out to us. And they're driving in blackout mode or whatever. and I'm dying. I'm falling asleep. I'm splashing water on my face. I'm rubbing hand sanitizer in my face like we do at boot camp. I'm smacking myself. I'm talking to the gunner. I'm talking to the VC. I'm hurting. I'm dozing off. And like the right move, looking back, would have been to have the VC relieve me for a little bit, or somebody relieve me for a little bit and let me nap for 30 minutes. But for whatever reason, they weren't wanting to do that. They should have just let me freaking take a nap while we were waiting. But that's not the Marine Corps way. You just suck it up, right? And so I had a VC who was like all hell bent on me being tough. And so they wouldn't let me take a nap. They wouldn't take my spot. None of this is safe. And I'm dozing. And eventually I lose the battle. And if you've all probably, if you've ever been this tired, you know, maybe most of you probably haven't been to this point, because some of the fatigue I felt in Afghanistan, like there's nothing that ever compared to it. But if you ever got to the point where like, yeah, I guess you don't have to be tired for this, but like when you first fall asleep and you're in like, you must be in that first 5 minutes, like right as you're hitting deep sleep, and you get woken up and you're like out of it. You're like almost hallucinating because you're so groggy, because it's like, it's not like you were in sleep for a while and got woken up. It's like you were just getting there and your body's like back on. I was at that point and I get woken up, and what they're telling me is to turn the lights on. I don't remember if it was turn on the blackout lights, like so you can be seen on NVGs, or turn the actual lights on, but it was basically like the other convoy's close, they're driving towards us, we're parked, turn on the lights so that they can identify both that it's our convoy, right? Because they have to confirm that that's our trucks. You hit the lights, you'd be like boom, boom, whatever it is. And that they're not close enough that they're going to run into us, because it is dark as even NVGs, you have some depth perception issues, right? And thermals, like it is what it is. And so they were telling me to turn on the light, and I'm so out of it, I slapped the parking brake, hit drive, and apparently just slammed the gas while like still asleep. I'm like, no. And they're basically like throwing at me and smacking me, and they wake me up. And I come out of it. But I mean, not before I was at like 15, 20 miles an hour, headed dead on at this convoy that's like 50 to 100 yards away, coming our direction with the lights still out, because instead of turning out the lights, I was so fatigued. Like, so sleep deprived, make some bad mistakes. Driving terrain that should have never been driven. I took those MRAPs and I drove an MATV a couple times, but mostly MRAPs into places they never should have gone. Like MRAP, Oshkosh should have made me the poster boy for what those trucks were capable of, because I did some things in those trucks. It's a miracle we didn't roll. I mean, I slid off a hill, but I took those trucks in some crazy spots, and it's a miracle that I didn't roll and get I suppose. It was just texting probably 6 months ago, my old security team leader, platoon sergeant, was making a text intro. The way he described me in the text intro was basically something to the effect of like, Dave is the make a truck fit anywhere, even when it shouldn't guy, or something like that. And he's not wrong. That ties right into our near rollovers. Like I slid off a hill and we had to get towed up by a dozer. We had a drive that we were on once where the road just like in Sangin just dropped off on either side of us. That was in Sangin. In Marja, I had a moment where there was a pothole from an IED or a blast that hadn't been filled back in, and we were doing stuff in the middle of the night, and it's like in this four-way intersection, I'm turning, and the back left wheel hit this thing, and it was deep enough that the whole truck goes like this, right? And we all screamed rollover, gunner screamed rollover, we all thought we were going over, but we stopped. But I tell you, like, it was enough of a this that had I opened the door of my MRAP, I'm very positive that the door would have hit the dirt. So we were like, over. And rollovers. They did service members in Afghanistan, Iraq, especially if you rolled into the water. There's a reason we have to do this truck training. They pretend you rolled into the water and you have to like find your way out, blacked out without air, and the egress training, the rollover training. It sucks. The reality of convoys, right? Just one bad mistake, one bad driver, one mechanical issue, all this stuff compounds. And then if you've got an enemy around, it gets ugly really fast. A lot of people like to sit around and imagine combat and they see what the movies say and they think all these things, but most veterans basically just remember the logistics, what went wrong, all the monotony, all the sitting around, all the boredom, all the driving, like the stuff that you or almost you in Afghanistan is, yeah, it can absolutely be the enemy. But it can also be the boredom, the terrain, the heat, just stupid.